Hello there, solo makers. How are you doing? It has been a bit of time since last time I did a solo episode. Obviously, it's not an easy exercise. I've done a lot of podcasts with guests, but not so much in solo. So it's a tough exercise for me. I'm not sure to what talk about. I'm not sure what will interest you. So I really need feedbacks, by the way. And you can send me on Twitter. I think that's the best place for that, in DM. I will answer you. So, what have changed since last time? A lot of things changed. Globally, there are one thing I want to share first is the new project. I've started during Christmas time to create a new project with my girlfriend. I don't know how the idea came, but we were talking about IA a bit and image, IA generated image like Stable Diffusion and stuff like that. And we tried few of them. The one of Peter Level, the one of I forgot the name of the other one. Yes, I'm amazing with name. But we tried a bunch of them and really enjoyed that. And then we tried in couple, and in couple the training was really bad. There are not so much, it was not made for that. So they did option, like Peter Level did option for couple, but it was less good trained than in solo pictures. So we were thinking, maybe that's interesting to have our own, and we tried to learn a bit how to do that. I've took a bit of time to learn how to use Stable Diffusion, to understand how it works. Hopefully there are open source people on the internet who do that. Grateful. So it was in Google Colab. Google Colab, it's a data science platform, look like a bit of Google Doc, where you put Python code, and you can show things, so it's more user-friendly than just code. And someone made a Google Colab ready to just fill a few inputs. Put your image in one folder, give the folder path put the folder in Google Drive, and then try it. So I will put the link of that in the description of the podcast. If I remember that, I will mark it here. Yeah. And then what we did was very nice. We really enjoyed the picture, and it was really looking photorealistic. So we decided to try to do something with that, and we were like, maybe other people will like that, other couples, like, and then while developing the idea, we were like, that's Christmas right now, so maybe we could do some, like, IA picture for couple for Christmas. And we really enjoyed the idea to try to do something together. It was the first time in our life being together. And yeah, so we decided to try to launch that as tiny as possible, the scope, because we wanted to do that during the Christmas vacation, not more. So we had to find a way to make things very tiny, especially on the technical side. I didn't want to have servers to manage and to manage GPUs, like allocation if you had many users. So I tried to find a solution called serverless. So serverless is the principle of not having a server, just when the resources need is start up, do the work and shut down. And that was amazing on paper to be able to do that. So I tried and to find some good services doing that, but it was very hard to find at the beginning. Hopefully Twitter helped me and show me banana.dev and tune my IA. Both were very, very interesting. At the beginning I was train ML, train IA, something which was very, very you have to do everything by your own hands. It was too much work for the time we had, so I tried to find something more high level, automatized, or name low code, with low code, less code as possible. And Banana Dev was pretty good with a guy doing open source around that, and share his Docker machine, so you can just fork his GitHub and have something working. So I think we did that between 23 of December to 29, because we did the product hunt on 29. And I spent many of my nights doing that, because the both API I told you been released in December mainly. So it was very brand new and not working very well. So I did struggle a bit because of my constraint of not wanting server. I did struggle of making things work basically, and it's still not working right now properly. At least now the code is the code is working for Banana, but don't produce good result. And for Tune My IA, because I did the both implementation, the one step doesn't work. The upload pictures to Tune My IA doesn't work. And I don't understand why. I tried to contact the people working there. I told them what I'm doing, and they say it should be working, but it doesn't. So, mystery of life of code. But yeah, so the idea was to try to do the project for couples. It was the niche, like a niche of a niche, and couple for Christmas. A picture. And we launched it in product hunt. We became like 7 product of the day on the 29th. But we didn't have one person paying, what was very interesting. Hopefully we didn't spend years on this project. So we are trying to analyze what did happen. I think few things happened. Anna was getting some insight about that. It's one, we launched it in Product Hunt, and Product Hunt is probably not the target for couple. So it means we bring almost 4,000 people in the website, but most of them were not like the target audience. So the conversion rate was very low for that. And by very low, I mean less than 1%, because the only conversion we got, it was from friends. So I don't count them as, even I like them and I like they do that, support me. I don't count them as a real client, because they do it because of me, not because of the product. So one point was that. Another point was it's Christmas and people in couple like having family time or not on internet, like not in product hunt, probably less. They are spending time with families. And maybe the last one was that doesn't make sense for people. What I get as feedbacks was why do fake pictures? So people were a bit like not into it at all, who was interesting, because that wasn't our feedbacks, first feedbacks. So we were thinking like maybe the people who did try Avatar IA and other tools like that, doing picture photo, are more people like in the chart of adoption of technology. This is early adopters. And we didn't find our early adopters in couples, because maybe it's more harder to do for 2-person, and also the process of finding people, pictures for 2-person who match the criteria are hard for 1-person. For 2-person, it's even harder. So I think the whole process made our ability to get client very low, which was interesting. So that's something we are thinking to try again in the future with different settings, like maybe not for couples, but one picture sent for your loved one instead of a couple picture. Then it will be 1-person. So we have few things to try, and we're gonna try it maybe for 14th of February, like sending love cards or something like that. Because one of the evolution we saw was very interesting in this project, will make a difference to others, is like doing postcard. We really enjoy the postcard format, so we were thinking maybe mix the IA with the postcard will make this valuable for people. So we didn't, when we ship it, we didn't integrate the postcard feature, because the shipping, we did a design and a website of a postcard, but not shipping, because it's way more work. Obviously, so we decided to make it as narrow as possible, so one subject, very clear and simple. But that's something doable for the next iteration, so that's what we're gonna try. Was very great experience. The website was made with cards, So I didn't got involved in the code. My partner Anna was able to manage the design of the website by herself. It was very nice, and I could have focused on the complex IS stuff I was not understanding. The payment process was made with Tally, so we had a form like Peter Level did with IA Avatar IA. He did that with Typeform, and we did that with Tally, because I prefer to support makers than big company. So yeah, mainly the stack was very little. I just have 4 backend serverless function made on Supabase, and 2 tables, users and jobs on the database. So very little things. It was the MVP of the MVP was made in 1 day, I think. I was having something working, the basics, and then I struggled with the external APIs. But my stack was made in 1 day, so I was very proud of that and enjoying that. I am more and more able to ship fast than ever. I understand the process better and better, and I'm very good at now making things simple at first, and then level up the complexity with time to have greater feedback. And now we see if we want to stop, for Imagine, because we think like there are no way to make that working. We did lose only a few days, 5 days, and it was not lost really because we did our first project together. So the investment of time is still very good. Talking about other projects now. There are something I can talk about this podcast is I'm really amazed by the start of it. I already have almost 300 listen in total on every episode. So there are 2. One is in solo, and one is with Thiago, where we're talking about balance between personal life and work life, and the balance of both, which is a subject very touching me lately, because I am with my partner since only 6 months, so our time together is very valuable because we're creating something. We're just at the beginning, so it's important to find the right balance. And lately I was very not having a lot of time for personal things, more in the work field, so it was very interesting to talk about that and see how Thiago managed that as well. If you didn't listen to it, I really recommend you to do so. Then I think I can go a bit on CapGo. A few things I did was interesting. Is first, I discovered I'm ranking very well now in live update capacitor query on Google. So I am second, and the first one is ads, I think. So it's very good. I'm very happy for what I am doing with the website, because the website is the landing page of CapGo. It's made with code with Nuxt. So sometimes it's a hard choice as a developer to do you code your landing page or you just code your product. And for a long time I was struggling a bit between both, but then I discovered if I want to really have a deep specific strategy on SEO, coding is a better way for me, because the tools who gonna allow to do that will be very paid, and I need to understand technically how it works, because I will not be comfortable to just follow a tutorial of a product where I don't understand technically what's happening, because I am a tech person. So having a tech point of view helped me to feel the value of what I'm doing and improve it. If it was only no code tools, I will probably not spend as much as time in SEO like I do. So other things, what I'm doing to be sure I'm not forgetting anything is like I'm looking to whip, because since 60 days now I'm doing everyday posting on whip.co, all the tasks I'm doing. So now I have a bit of context to what I can talk about. I've made a few articles lately on Capgo blog. Since I discovered, like, I was copying, I remembered I was copying expo, pricing, target, audience, and everything on Capgo, because they do the same system for React Native, basically, but they do still the CI system where I don't. But it's the business is very look-alike, even more than Ionic, because they have a SMB target more than Ionic. So I was like, if I copy them, maybe I should write an article about this is an alternative to Expo. Because I am an alternative. If you're coding in React instead of React Native, then you can do a mobile app as you will do in Expo. Even more simpler, because you don't have to learn React Native. Just do your React stuff and a bit of native stuff, but like 10% max. So I decided to put to create an article about that, and I also did for Flutter article to explain like live with data are not doable, but because it produces native code, but you can do instead do a JS app and do live update there. So I expect to, at the beginning of this project, I was thinking I will not teach people like how to use a capacitor or like only touching audience who already understand, but more and more I'm in this niche. I understand like a lot of developers have limited beliefs in this technology because capacitor is not cool. Capacitor is not made by Facebook or by Google or whatever. So it's less cool. It's like Vue.js. It's the side hustler. And which is like a bit sad because it's probably the best tools as indie makers or SMB to use, because they are made by people doing the same as you. They are not made by Facebook, who have very different problem than an SMB. So when you code in React, you just like have the same, like deal the same way as Facebook to problems. So it's very not efficient for me. And same as React Native. It's something made by people who don't believe in a web you can have enough good responsiveness on your app, which is untrue, and there are some statistics have been made about that, and the difference is impossible to see in most apps. Like if you have Airbnb made on Capacitor or in React Native or in Native, no difference. If you made a video games, we use a lot of GPU, maybe. But it will be the same problem with React Native, because React Native is still JavaScript in the background, which is very fun. Most of people don't understand that. Only the UI is native. So it means each time your UI is doing something, it asks JavaScript. So it has to bridge between native to JavaScript each time. And that's made them a lot of problems, and to fix that they have to do very not very nice things, like they dump memory now between native and JavaScript to be faster, instead of doing a bridge between them each time you click on a button or do something. And that's very bad, where in JavaScript application with Capacitor, you just like having JavaScript HTML app. So like when you do scrolling, you interact with the app, it's still JavaScript. It's always JavaScript. And when you did something native, then you call just a native part, just at this time. So if you want the camera, bam, is calling the native camera. So the interaction between native and not native is very few moments when you need it. Instead of React Native, it's all the way, because it's made in the way like to fake it's native, but it isn't. It's still the core is still JavaScript. It's just the UI. It's like the facade is native, but the core inside the backend of the app is JavaScript. So I think it's really like sad that so many people like are really like against other technology while they don't even understand their own tech, and that's make a lot of opportunity missed. Like this week I've met a guy, Marc Louvien, which is an amazing guy. I will do a podcast with him, probably the next podcast will be with him. And he was asking, like, I want to do an app. And everyone was saying React Native, React Native, React Native. But his app is already in React. If he used Capacitor, and that's what I spent 2-3 hours to show him, he just like, he used Next.js. So basically what he has to do is to set up Next.js to build static instead of server SSR mode. And then when you have that, your app is ready to distribute. Basically, you just add the capacitor dependency, you set up, you init the iOS app and the Android app, and that's work on your phone. It took us 3 hours because he didn't add the last version of Next.js, so static building was not working for him. So, but it was not related to capacitor. It was just like starting building was not producing HTML file, which is not normal. But we just updated to the last version of Next.js, and then he didn't have any problem anymore, and all was working. Then, of course, his app is like need a bit of work. For example, he has payment into the app, and he has a Stripe payment. So Stripe payment's not allowed in app stores, only if you send physical object. Like if you buy on Amazon, of course you have the right to pay with your credit card. But if you're buying something for an app, you don't have the right to do that. So obviously you have to change a bit your code and to say if it's inside the app, I'm not showing the payment, or you do use the payment from Apple and Google. So that's the only change you have to do, but that's 10% of the whole work of your app instead of rewriting everything in React Native, which is a long job. Oh, the other maker is Danny Postman. I had this conversation with Danny Postman, by the way, when he was doing his profile picture. He wanted to do a mobile app. And then I told him, like, dude, you don't need to do React Native, because he was saying that on Twitter, he wanted to do it. And he did choose to do it anyway, because he felt like he followed the trends. And everyone was saying, like, React Native is the best, which is not true. It's a good solution. But the best, I am not sure. Especially when you're a solo maker, redo your app in a new technology, while you could keep 99% of it to just make an app. And what you're gonna need to tweak is the design to make it more native look-alike, and adapt for a few, like taking pictures or sending pictures will be a bit different, but not a big deal. That's it. So that's why I think for indie makers is really a good solution, while React Native, if you have already an app, it's not a good idea. You're just losing your time redoing the wheel, while you have already everything working. And there are no real reason to do something different. At least, no, it's not even a question of time. Like, I have clients, like, in Capgo, my biggest client, it's Pizza Hut, Australia. They have 20-something thousand users by month, and the app works. The app works very well. I did use it. You didn't see anything. Like, it's perfect. And there are many, many big, apps doing that, but people don't believe in that. So what I'm thinking to do right now is, since in Capgo I want to reach more bigger clients, I don't know how to find them. I will try to download, to make a script to download all the apps from the Play Store, the top chart, and try to see if they use Capacitor internally, because it's possible to do it. There are some package on internet helping you to do that. So by doing that, I will find a way to find a big client, and also that will help me showcase to the world, like, Capacitor is good solution, like big clients use it, but they just don't talk about that because they are not doing trendy stuff, so they feel less shareable, which is, it's like a loop of stupid event who lead us to don't use the right things for the right person. yeah, I can talk hours around the subject. So I will go forward a bit. What I can share. One things I really try to do with my businesses is to work on open source to make me visible, like I do in Twitter. Everything is like to make me visible, to have a personal brand, and to make my project visible. So lately, what I've did it's working on some open source tools, like I've seen Nuxt I've seen Supabase doing some resize storage as the other platform for resizing image works. So I have did the integration in Nuxt, which is the next for Vue.js, of Nuxt image for Supabase storage. It was very easy to do. It took me an hour something, and then I did a pull request for that. So if the pull request is accepted, then my code is present there, and my name will be shared in the changelog and everything. So that makes me more visible. So I tend to do that a lot lately. When I see a bug somewhere, instead of just complaining on GitHub when it's open source, I just fix it myself. I take an hour or two, half a day, and try to fix it myself. Because that's bring me benefits also doing that, and I like doing that. So it's a lot of benefits. It's like a marketing benefit and personal benefit. Another thing I did lately was very like painful on Capacitor is on CapGo was like when I start to build the project, Supabase didn't have the serverless function. By the way, for the one who looked the video, I am in Bali right now, and you can see it's very light, and I am burning. So when I started to build CapGo, Supabase didn't. The release of the serverless function was still pending. So I did the backend in Netlify, and it was really working well. But the price was a bit different than Supabase serverless function, because Supabase were based in Deno, so the deployment of Deno seems way cheaper than Node.js, while Netlify do Node.js. So when Supabase released the serverless function, I decided to duplicate the code into so. Originally, the backend was into the website landing page for the Netlify function, and then when I created the Supabase arrived, I created them into the web app GitHub. So then I have duplicated code into the both platform, and so one thing I did for that, because I didn't shut down the Netlify, I did the load balancer in Cloudflare to load balance between 50% to Netlify, 50% to Supabase. So then I was lowering the cost and also having more providers. So it means more security for my users, to be sure like nothing fall down. Well, usually serverless function don't fall down, but still it was something I wanted to guarantee to users. So I did that. And then I start to add a very stupid problem, like I was coding in one side and forgot to copy paste in the other side, or not making the change really working well for one or the other. So I had difference all the time between both API. So it was very, very annoying, because like you have to do like a comparison of two files and check what was the difference you missed. And yeah, so I was a bit frustrated, and I was feeling like some things were broken for users and they were not understanding. Sometimes they say 50% of the time the API doesn't work, and I don't understand why. And I was like between the difference between of both. So I decided to try to do something for that, and I have a statue page in Crisp. I use the Crisp as a support, so they give me a statue page system. So I was thinking maybe I can do a statue page to check the comparison all the time if the backend answer the same. So I made a backend endpoint in Netlify and in Supabase, the /OK one, and you can give an argument like services, like query param services, and say database, API, whatever, endpoint, and I have made some check. So you can have the checks to see if there are difference. You can. So I did that, and I did another endpoint who query both of both API and do the comparison if the result is the same, yes or no. So if it's the same, he answered 200 statue and okay, and if it's not, he answered 400 statue not okay. So I did that, and I publish it like on the statue page, so now users can see if there are any difference between API. And while I was doing that, I discovered two things. First, my API was very different between both. It was still a lot of mistakes, and I didn't enjoy that. I was like, making the test will not fix the issue. Like the issue is like I'm coding to two different places. So what I tried to did is I decided to give a shot to try to convert my code from one stack to another one, because Netlify are in Node.js and Superbase are in Deno. So it's a bit the difference. How the function are called, like the main call is different. The file folder architecture is a bit different, and import are totally different, because in Deno you put URL for import, while in Node.js you have to have everything in non-modules. So I struggled a bit to do that. I think it took me 2 days to understand what I'm doing, and I did kind of meta programmation where I read in JavaScript the JavaScript code of the Deno function, and I do some transformation. So I have a list of transformation, while when you see that in the Deno file, it means it's that in Node.js, like for the import, for the first the main function when it's called, the answer or is built. So a few things like that, and I did try it, and it works. So I publish it in Netlify web project, so not the landing page, the new function, and I swap it on the load balancer, and it did work. So I was like, oh, perfect, I can shut down all previous ones. So I did shut down them, and on the way I forgot like some function. So I had some things broken on the website, like the payment page you couldn't pay anymore because I shut down something was necessary for the payment. I didn't see, during 10 days. So I didn't have a lot of conversion this month, mainly 0. I think I just lose 2 clients. So yeah, it was not an amazing month, but I did a bunch of change was necessary. And then later, I think this week I discovered like Netlify has also Deno functions. It's the Netlify edge functions. So I discovered I can use my conversion tools to also convert for Deno function, the Netlify Deno function, because I didn't have to change the import, mainly a bit, one of two, because it was needing an import from Netlify, and just how you answer back your payload and you receive it was just a bit different, so I use the same system for that. So now I have 3 providers, so it means my API is deployed on Superbase, deployed on Cloudflare, I think, workers. So I have in Cloudflare, it's not really workers, but it's like Cloudflare Edge system. Then in Netlify it's on AWS, the normal function, and the edge function of Netlify are in DigitalOcean and Google GPC. So my functions are deployed everywhere. So that's very nice, because I believe like now I have a big resilient system, and everything came from the same code base. So I'm very happy about that, and I don't have to manage anything. Like each time I push on my repository, everything is deployed by each commit, basically, because I have automatized everything. So I'm just coding and push, bam, it's ready, it's in production. And I have also the system working for deploying in development environment. So I have 2 environments. So it's very nice technically, and everything is automatized. that's something I'm willing, I think, to share, to do mentoring, to help people to choose the right tack things, and I did already that, and I really enjoy that, to help people. At the beginning I was thinking it was coaching, but while I was speaking with my partner, which is a coach, and she told me it's more mentoring, so now I know the word, and I will do more and more mentoring on that, because I really believe, like, if you want to build a business alone, you have to be smart on how you build things and automatize a lot, and I did that, and I delegate a lot of my responsibility to others. Like, for example, I don't manage server. I have only serverless things. Even it make the building sometimes different because you don't have a server running. That's important for me to don't have this in mind. Like, oh, I have to think about my servers. And that's even why I'm duplicated the code on different places. Then I'm sure something will work. So I can sleep well, I can be in vacation, whatever, it will work. Maybe not 100% of the time, but it will work, like if one fall, it will work 66% of the time. So it's very good. It means just like for the users, they will have some fail rates, but that's it. The retrial will still work. It's just delaying the system. So that's why I'm doing that in that way. Other things to note, which is very interesting, is I have passed 2,000 revenue this month in December. Weirdly, I think it's mainly based on cap time. Cap time has grown like for 40 euros something. So I was almost at 2,000, and then cap time blow up. Now it's at 549, I think, based on the screenshot I have on my side, and CapGo is 1,465. So that's very interesting. I didn't work on cap time since months now. So it's still growing. That's very nice. I will try to improve a few things on it. I still want to release the new voice for the timer, but didn't took the time for that. Other interesting things this month I discovered, I have people support me on GitHub. Like I have 2 people give me $5 a month on GitHub because they use CapGo for free in their own, so they support my work, and I really I'm amazed about that, like people doing it. That's amazing, and I think it will grow with time, because since CapGo is 100% open source, like most people don't pay me to use it. That's a fact. But I prefer to have that than have less people using it, because I think it's very need as a business, and if they grow, they will at one point want to use me, maybe, because I offer more than they will do themselves, definitely. Oh yeah, I have a podcast. A few days ago I recorded a podcast with Cheyenne. Cheyenne, I discovered this guy because he made Logsnag, and he is a user of CapGo. I think he used it on his side, because he already have a system to deploy live update for Electron, so it was not problematic for him to do it on himself for his capacitor app, Logsnag. And so I discovered when he joined the Discord, my Discord, for CapGo, his business, because he presented himself, and then I started to use Logsnag. It was like so amazing project. I was like, I need that. And now my main statistic I look every day are in his tool, and I am a poor user. I pay like 20 something a month. I really enjoy speaking with him all the time. Like he's very asking many things about his product, sharing on Twitter even, but in personal also. So we spend a bunch of time talking together on Discord, and I was like, yeah man, we should do a podcast about, because I'm very amazed by his capacity to design things while he's also a good developer. So my point was like, oh, you become the good person, the good worker for each job, for marketing, for design, for developing. And so we had a great conversation about that, and it will be released next week, just after this podcast. Yeah, I'm looking now. I did a lot of work on IL holidays. Crazy. I changed also the landing page of CapGo because I was doing, I was saying instant update for capacitor, and I discovered like the people use more live updates when they search. So I switched for live updates, and I also change on the landing page I put under the first button 3 big features of CapGo, and one was redundant, was about send update to apps, and the other one was fix bug quickly, which is almost the same. And lately I've sent a very big feature in CapGo, which is still not used, but I think it will be used by big corporate, is end-to-end encryption. Now you can send to my backend encrypted data update, and I send it to your user, and only the users has the key to decrypt it. So I don't have a way to change it. I don't know a way to watch you sending. So I think for big businesses it's important for the privacy policy. So I did that. It took me a bit of time. I saw Expo doing that, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do it. And I was thinking it's easy, like RS encryption with GitHub does. But then I discovered RS encryption is not made to encrypt big file. It's encrypt a short sentence, a short string. So at the beginning I did the encryption with RSA, and I set up everything on the CLI, on the backend, and then I start to code on the updater, on Java and Swift, and in Swift it start to work well, without issue. And then on Android told me your file you try to decrypt is longer than your key, so it's not allowed. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And then I have learned this. I have learned you cannot do that. It's like not safe. The encryption and decryption will be not safe if you do that way. So natively, the function of Android with decrypt RSA don't allow you that, which is nice, but also annoying, because I did the whole things, and when I arrive at Android, which is my platform I like less, it prevent me to do what I've done. So I was like, oh no. So I did as to learn a bit more about how encryption is done, like in GitHub, and in fact the RSA is not used as expected. Instead of sending everything encoded with the RSA, the whole commit you're sending is encrypted with AES, AES, maybe it's in English, encryption. Then the encryption key is encrypted in RSA, with RSA, and send alongst the encrypted file. And then when you receive it, you decrypt the AES key with the RSA one. And then when you have the decrypted AES key, you decrypt the big file. So I had to do that and learn to do that in Node.js, because the key is in Node.js, then in Swift, then in Java. And it was so messy, because of course encryption has specific options, and in Node.js the basic options are different than Swift and in Swift and Node I think it's same, but in Java of course everything is different. All settings, and few settings are even not available, the same as in Node.js. So I was like, fuck. Took me a long time to do that, but I'm very happy to have that now. Even my concurrent on the same technology, Ionic, don't have that. So I'm very proud of that, and I think it will help the business in the future. Maybe not now, but it will help in the future. Oh, something I did, I forgot to say, is I made a deal with someone on Twitter who is doing cold contact Twitter and cold email. Her name is Rila. She's an indie maker as well. She's trying to do a 10k agency, 10k revenue by month with its agency. She just started in this summer, and she contacted me like she wanted to do that. And the revenue model is each time she got me a big client, so a 500 euro a month, she took 200 on the first month. I was like, okay, fair deal. So she has started to try that, and then I got a big spike of people visiting CapGo because of her. So very surprising, and I think that's something great. We try to make it not very aggressive because I don't like cold contact, so it's really nice. And even if you don't not interesting, we have a gift for people. So I think I think that's working well, and I got good feedback of people like enjoying and say, "Oh, amazing!" and joining the Discord, start to talk with me. So very nice, and I hope he will bring a lot of new business to CapGo. One of the things I did change, who was important for me, is the trial. I've changed the trial days from 30 days to 15 days, so I divided by 2. Because mainly in Logsnag I was not seeing the conversion rate because of the basic, the default time frame of conversion rate from Logsnag is 30 days, so I was not able to see that. So I wanted to see it better. And also I was thinking maybe 30 days long, so when I get new client I don't see what's happening very fast. So I prefer to have 15 days, and I think it will also push people to do things because some of them forget. So maybe in 15 days it will push them to do the onboarding faster. So what's the point? I also find with my users from all over the world, like lately I have a guy from China, the users cannot download this update because of the restriction, restriction. So I'm trying to do some improvement of that, trying to give proxy for people for that. That's a very interesting problem I didn't think I will add. Like I had a lot of feedback from Asia market where they really want to use CapGo, but my business is not in Asia, so that means they cannot use me for some of them, and others have problem like in China with it's blocked, and if I use VPN it's unblocked, so there's something to do for that. I think wow, 47 minutes. I'm good to talk alone also. I hope it's you find that interesting. Another last things I did recently, it's for a long period of time I was trying to do SEO with the website of Indie Makers, the French podcast, and it didn't work. I tried to do community features like Weep, didn't work much. It was very interesting, but yeah, it was needing to have maintenance because it's made with code, and I was like, I don't feel that. So since Solo Makers is made with a podcast page, which is a very great tool, no code tool to do podcast website, I decided to convert Indie Maker website to that. So it took me one day something because I wanted to keep the URL working and etc. The structure a bit same, more long than Solo Makers where I ship it in half a day. But yeah, now both websites are made with podcast page, so I don't have to maintain the code anymore, which is nice. I am killing more and more projects I seen didn't have growth, and keep the other one who have a bit. Like lately I've seen again for Christmas, Mimesis was working well. Like I got 2,000 people visiting Mimesis webpage and app. So for now it's app which is free because I tried to make it pay but nothing happened. But for free works, so maybe I will try to do ads on it, or I have to check. I have to check what I can do with this app. I don't like the ads, so I'm not sure I will do that. But yeah, right now I'm keeping that one because it still has users, so maybe I can even just use it as advertisement for my own project. Let's see. I think I'm done. I'm done for this podcast. I hope it give you value. I really need your feedback on what you need. If you need more about the process of how I'm doing things, more specific subject I want to talk about. Right now I was just talking about what I've done, but I can share also my mindset. Oh yeah, that's something important with my mindset I think I will share. Lately I was feeling like I will be bankrupt. Because CapGo and my revenue just hit 2,000 in revenue, and my spending is 2,000, 3,000, maybe 3,000. Yeah, let's say that. So I have 1,000 I have to find every month. So lately I've used my savings, and I didn't like that. So I was like getting near to don't have savings anymore. Right now I have 4,000 in savings, so it's not a lot. And I was a bit scared about that and not feeling comfortable being in Bali, far from home. So I was a bit like very scary, and I was very like not helpful with my partner. I was not like very present, very like having time for us, because like my mind was somewhere else. And magically I got some like 4 people asking for working with me in freelancing mission. So I accepted 2 of them, where one is finished and one I will finish after this podcast. I will do a pair programming with them to finish it, and then so that fixed a bit my money problem until February. Because I also buy a Mac, a new Mac, because I was needing it. Mine was like very slow and not liking the way I was doing things. By the way, I have 6% of battery, so I have to stop. Yeah, so I've bought a Mac, and I have enough money to last until February, where I hope I will have better revenue with CapGo or other freelancing mission. It was a bit hard to don't feel like I have enough money, because I'm a bit having the habit of being kind of rich in a way, like I was earning as a CTO 4,000 something euro. So then I got the habit of living in a nice place, having a cook, having a cleaning lady and stuff like that. And even in Bali, if you want good quality house, like here with a big garden and everything, you have to pay. Here I'm paying 1,200, so it's expensive for Bali. But that's something I need. I feel good here. And I got the habit of, it's when you get comfort in your life, then lowering your comfort expectation is hard. So now, I was feeling a bit this hurry, lack of money. But life brought me some interesting things. So let's see how it goes for the next month. I hope you did enjoy. Thank you for listening. Next episode is with Cheyenne. Next episode will be with me, and then next episode will be with Mark. So I'm trying to do 1-on-2 with a guest, and 1-on-2 sharing my story a bit and what's happening. I hope you enjoyed to see the backstage. I definitely try also to launch newsletters about that. But I'm very better at talking than writing. So let's see. Have a great day. Have a great week. See you next one. Bye bye.